I have promised you that I will always be honest with you, and I will always be human with you. This was the week that my spirit began to get snuffed. Can I get an amen? On Wednesday, my body started sending up alarms. For me, it came in a low-grade headache that no amount of pain reliever could take away, and my joints started to get really stiff, and my lower back started to seize up, and complete exhaustion descended. Not the time, I thought, to be firing off emails or making big plans, and I apologize to anyone who got a wacky email or response from me. I did my very best, and I continue to do my best to restrain myself when I am feeling this way, when my body is starting to send up alarms. I call this soul weariness. And I'm grateful for the wisdom of my body, who knows often before this mind does that soul weariness is at hand. I've learned to listen to it when it cries out and resist what our culture wants us to do to be productive and have value and be good, which is to push on through and keep working. I'm getting better and better at this. The challenge I have found is once I have heeded the alarms, to then know what is needed. This is a hard question. What do I need right now? Not what I think I should need, or what works for all y'all. What do I need? What do I, in all of my particularity and gloriousness, need? You've got to get practiced at centering down in yourself to really know the answer. It is an act of holy attunement. I have a lot of spiritual tools in my medicine bag. This is the best part of aging. More and more wisdom in the kit. This week, the medicine that I needed was church. And lucky me, I get to spend all my working hours doing and building and being and thinking about church. I thank God every day for calling me to the ministry where I get to swim in church all the time, particularly with you. Pinch me. So after those alarms went up, and I asked myself, what do I need? I spent the rest of the week poring over the prophetic words and music of the Unitarian-Universalist wisdom keepers, the ones that teach us and have been teaching us for a long time about the power of our faith. Those who are on the front lines now, and those who've been on the front lines for hundreds of years, telling us about the saving graces of Unitarian and Universalist churches amid tilted and terrible times. Reading them, listening to them, and receiving their music. That is what I needed. And I went from snuffed spirit to spirit full. Gas in the tank. It was wonderful. powerful teachings, prophetic visioning, the beating drums of protest songs. These are antidotes to the clanging bells of chaos, the steady drip of outrage, and the toxic sludge that is constant fear-mongering and hopelessness trying to flood itself into my body from sunrise to sunset, all of which doesn't just render me exhausted, but incapacitated, can't do anything in that state. Sick, can't do anything in that state. What I needed, as Reverend Parker says in her beautiful bit of writing this morning, thank you, Lynn, was religious witness. And let me break that down for you. Religion means, at its etymological origins, to bind, to bind. Witness, to proclaim, share, and be the message. For Unitarian Universalists, religious witness means to proclaim and share the message of bound, unbreakable, unshakable, hopeful, transformative love. And to be bound in it and by it and to it. So I had to go find the love, capital L, this week and re-tie myself to it. This is no time for a casual faith. Those are words preached by our previous Unitarian-Universalist Association president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. I have brought them to you before. She preached those words in 2018 at our General Assembly. "This is no time," she shouted, "for a casual faith." And she drew from the powerful words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who warned, if the church does not recapture its prophetic zeal, it will become an irrelevant social club without moral or spiritual authority. We here have good news. We have bound, unbreakable, unshakable, hopeful, transformative, inclusive, welcoming, big love here. And it's not the time to get casual about it. Not one of you come to this church for casual. I know that about you. I know that about you. Because you know we don't have time for casual. Your tender lives need so much more than casual. How we offer refuge, sanctuary, and live out transformative love needs so much more than casual. We don't have time for, this is the way we've always done things. We don't have time to be loosey-goosey about what we believe in. We don't have time to be hopeless and cynical and bitter. We don't have time to simply be a social club. I know this, and you know this. Unitarian Universalist theologian Paul Razor, he wrote in his book, Reclaiming Prophetic Witness, Liberal Religion in the Public Square, that at times liberal religious identity is so thin that it basically evaporates and gets expressed as simply a liberal political position. Pamela Spar, who is one of our faith's most celebrated climate activists and who's behind the Unitarian Universalist Green Sanctuary movement, says that we need to be comfortable and fluent talking religiously, noting that while UUs often are overrepresented Among the membership and leadership of many environmental and justice organizations, leaders report that they are often religiously invisible and inarticulate. The customary stance for many Unitarian Universalists, she boldly writes, is to work on justice issues in a way that sounds like we're from the Sierra Club, or Audubon Society, or Our Power Campaign, or Movement Generation, even when we are educating and organizing within our congregations. Our challenge, she says, is to remember that we are full-time people of faith. This means allowing our religious identity to inform the way we live in and love the world. It means bringing our deep spiritual, particular spiritual grounding to this work. And she says it means framing concerns and proposed solutions in moral terms, inside and outside our congregations. It means speaking and organizing from a place of hope rather than fear. And I am not, nor is she, talking about not being afraid. I know you're scared, and I am scared too. I'm talking about, and I sense Razor and Spar are talking about this too, cultivating the spiritual aptitude and muscles to know how to give your fear the dignity it deserves, lament out of it, lean on one another in it, and not let it drive our bus. Not devote ourselves to spreading it everywhere we go, allowing it to be the lens with which we view all things and all people. We know where that's gotten humanity, right? Or give it permission to tear at the sanctity of our faith, to overtake us, to infiltrate these, yours and mine, our blessed, sacred bodies and minds. They deserve so much more than to be flooded with terror from morning until night. We are full-time people of faith. It's been the bold and brave shouts of people like Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, Paul Razor, Pamela Spar, Rebecca Savage, all those voices I've been bringing to you this morning, Reverend Marta Valentine, so many others also in the past decade, which ultimately moved us to revise our Unitarian Universalist shared values so that we might get literate and clear about what church is and what our faith is in times such as these. The great Unitarian transcendentalist and abolitionist, Reverend Theodore Parker, he speaks of our faith this way, and this was in the early 1800s. We have so much wisdom to draw from in our faith. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Parker also wrote that famous wisdom teaching, maybe you have heard it. The arc of the moral universe is long and always bends towards justice. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke those words consistently, and their origin is with Reverend Theodore Parker. This is the kind of faith and hope that I lose all the time and work really hard to keep cultivating, that infuses my spirit with fuel and doesn't snuff it. In this church, we believe in love. This is our faith's call to action. It fuels our beliefs in how we do justice, how equity is made manifest, how transformation can happen, how pluralism can exist, how interdependence works, and how generosity is embodied within, with, and beyond. To believe in this means that we are a church of sanctuary and refuge and salvation for all souls, including you. And it means that we come to church not to be infiltrated by the bell clanging and chaos or to be a social club. We come to church to talk deeply about our faith, our foundations, hope, and our future. We come to church because we need faith-formative gatherings and offerings that explore the human condition, our human condition, and our work in the world. We come to church to have our minds open to new perspectives and new possibilities, and yes, to be made uncomfortable. And we come to church to be comforted, given solace, and offered a sacred time where we can build up our spiritual tools and medicine kits to help deal with a world on fire and to help think about things through the lens of our faith, not fear, and from a rested and clear place. We come to church to cultivate spiritual well-being, meaning-making, resilience, and powerful, intentional, covenantal community that helps all of us discern and discover and nurture and make manifest our perfect and particular gifts of love in the world. And sometimes those gifts are as simple as coming here and sharing your tears and providing an invitation for someone else near you to cry with you. We are not going to be able to do the work of love-fueled collective liberation if we don't know how to rest and we don't know how to care for ourselves. And we aren't going to get well ourselves without deep, healing wells filled with thirst-quenching water to draw from. That is what we're trying to do here in this church, at least. And I hope that you will bring your water into the well. And I hope you will draw from it, too. Nothing in this church or our Unitarian-Universalist faith is casual. The fine china and the silver is always laid out. Every one of you deserve the fancy stuff. I want you to know that every one of your ministries, your gifts and your needs matter here. And I want you to feel that all that you give and try to cultivate here in this church and the ways that you give have a feeling of intention and spiritual heft and meaning. And if you don't see that in what you're offering here at this church, then you might want to consider taking a break. And I'm really serious about that. Your yeses now must be sacred yeses, and your no's must be sacred no's. I really hope you hear me now. We don't have time for the casual anymore. We don't have time for business as usual. We don't have time to be confused about whether we're a church or a nonprofit business or a museum or a community center. From the budget to a key policy, to the care of our building, from the paint color on our walls to the things we hang or don't hang on our walls, to the care of our memorial garden, from how we welcome people, how neatly we write our names on name tags or send cards or offer rides, how we treat one another, from the emails we send and the state of mind we're in when we send them, or the way we talk to one another, our willingness to say ouch to one another and apologize to one another, to how we live out our faith in action at protests, community gatherings, vigils, at a bake sale. We are full-time people of faith, always centering transformative love, believing in love, witnessing in love, teaching in love, disrupting with love, shouting love, weeping love, giving love, receiving love, asking for love, being love, leading with love. We come to church to practice this, deepen our faith in this, fill our tanks with it when they get low, and learn to be brave and evangelize it, because we've got good news. Nothing casual happening here. And I want to bring Reverend Rebecca Parker's prophetic wisdom back into our hearts and ears and minds now. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who with faith rise and lead in freedom with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage or tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the water while their voices sing and speak refreshed worlds. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys. And there must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness. I mentioned earlier that music was what I needed in my body this week. The beating drum of protest songs that helped me discover just a little bit how I might be a there must be person in all the multitudes of what Reverend Rebecca is talking about there. When we sing together in the spirit of a protest song that stirs the soul and hopefully fills us with soul, something really good happens, doesn't it? Something really good happens. So I discovered an incredible song called Lead with Love. It was written by Melanie DeMore. She is one of Unitarian-Universalist's bright musical ministers. She wrote this song, Lead with Love, and said it was inspired by the love warriors of Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa, all of whom started their movements out of love for their people, not out of hatred of someone else. And I'm going to do my best to teach you this song, but disclaimer, I am not Melanie DeMore, whose music and rhythms make their home in African American culture. However, she has brought this song to a variety of UU churches and has given everyone free use of it. It was the medicine I needed this week, and I hope it can offer you the same today. All you have to do is open your hearts to this. There aren't words in your order of service, so put the papers down. You don't need to read anything. We're going to let our bodies make the rhythm, and I will direct you in the best way I can, okay? If you can stand, or if your body wants to stand and make music by clapping and stomping and in any way you want, then please, yes. And if you want to stay seated and receive it, you can, okay? This is where we practice asking, what do I need? What do I need? Okay. So lead with love. Those of you who'd like to stand, stand. So first, we're going to start with a beat. Then I'm going to start singing the chorus, and you're going to catch on. You got to hold on, I got the beat wrong. I needed Charlene. Faster. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Again, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Again, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. So you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. But here I am. Right next to you. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead